Hey, what's up? Are you wondering how to price property? Well, this video is about to show you exactly how I price property effectively at the right number, at the right price. I'm going to also show and share techniques and strategies on how to have conversations with that seller. You ready? Let's go. Hey, what's up guys? It's Chris Martin, agent, investor, coach. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. One of the most important things in real estate, pricing property. Pricing property is one of the most important things. I can't even stress that enough. Why is pricing property the most important thing, or one of the most important things in real estate? You want to sell it, right? Many agents make the mistake of just pricing property, throwing something up against the wall, hoping it sticks, and their properties don't sell. They have to go through price reduction after price reduction. They don't get the traffic they want, and the property doesn't sell. Pricing property is also important on the investment side. If you're looking to purchase a property, maybe you're looking to do a buy and hold, a fix and flip. If you don't know what that property is worth at its current state and after the repair value, then you have the ability or an opportunity to make a big mistake financially. So we want to know how to price property correctly, and we always want to be in tune to what's happening in the market. So today I'm just going to go over how I price property. And if you guys have any questions, of course, let them know along the way. And it's going to be there's many ways to price property. This is the way that I do it. So it's not to say that you have to throw your way out the window. If you've been doing it a certain way and that works, then so be it. Maybe you can take some certain strategies and techniques that I use and apply them into maybe this could be your strategy and technique. But we're going to go right into it. So let me go into my MLS. First things first is I'm always going to look at the property card. So does anyone want to use a subject property for our example? If not, no worries. But does anyone have a subject property that they want to use?
44 Linden Street, Boston.
All right, 44 Linden Street. So here we are. It looks like it's a 2-unit. So I'm going to go ahead and click that hyperlink. It's going to give me the MLS has changed too. I don't know, for those people that have been using MLS for over a year, I don't know if I like the changes though. I don't like the changes. I'm going to be honest. It's a little more difficult, especially when you're used to doing it a certain way. So this is what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at this property. There's a few. I'm going to keep this up while I'm doing my search just to reference it. And what am I looking at here? I'm going to be looking at the main features of a property that's going to help me determine the price, which are lot size, the total amount of bedrooms, total amount of bathrooms, okay, and the total room count, total area, living area, okay. Those are pretty much the main things that I'm looking at, okay. I'm not going to get too crazy on the heat type and roof type and whether it's this and that. We can dive into that later, but I just want to get a sense of the lot size, its total square feet of the interior, bedrooms, baths. You guys follow me so far? Say yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. So now that we have that, I am going to go into, let's look at some properties. So what I'm going to do is, this is a 2-family, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is.
All right, 2-family use, that's what it looks like. So we're going to go under multi, okay, on the property type. And we are going to, we can actually change the number of units if we go into additional criteria. And go into, just scroll down, it's all alphabetical, to number of units in the complex and list that as 2 if we want, just to compare it against 2 units. So I'm going to do that. If you're doing a 3-family or 4-family, you can do that there. If you wanted to get a little bit more specific.
That way it won't pull 3.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just want to see what's there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the address of the property right in the address section. So with the radius, I am going to list the radius as a 1/4 mile to start. So 0.25. You really want to get things as close as you can to the subject property, and 1/4 mile is within that same neighborhood for the most part. But let's go ahead and list that I'm going to select all in the status of the property, see what comes up. And right out of the gate, I can see that there's not a whole lot that's within that area. There's only one property that came up and it's sold. And this is the last 6 months, by the way. So in an ideal world, if I can just kind of if I can have the system produce the results I wanted, I would have somewhere between 4 to 8 properties, I guess, that would come up during this search. I don't really want one because that's not a good sample size. And I also don't want 50. It's too many. So I would love to have somewhere between that, let's call it 5 and 10 area. So right now, this is listed at 1/4 mile in the last 6 months. We don't want to go beyond 12 months. And we also don't want to go beyond a mile unless we have to, and unless we're in like a real rural area, then we could probably go outside of a mile. However, we want to keep in mind what appraisers will be looking at. Now, when an appraiser comes out to appraise the property, we want them to be looking at the same list as that we were looking at. And that's what I tell to my sellers. When I sit to them and we talk about pricing, I list all these properties and I say, this is the same list that an appraiser will be looking at to establish the value of your home. So which ones can we choose that can maximize the amount of money that we're going to sell your property for? That way, it's not me saying that, hey, we should list your property at this amount. It's me saying, here's the interpretation of the market. Which ones can we choose at the highest price point possible, basically, that we can justify? So with this one, and while we pull this up, there's only one property that came up as sold last 6 months. And also, if we go beyond a year, we're skipping over everything that sold within the last 6 months. If we go beyond a mile, we're just leapfrogging over all these properties that sold in the neighborhood. And an appraiser is not going to do that. They're not going to say, oh, I know you like the price of this property that's in a totally different area. We're going to use that one and not use all these other ones that are closer by. So this one's a 2-unit, 10 total rooms, 4 bedrooms, and it's sold for $625. Okay. So 10 total rooms, 4 bedrooms. This one, the subject property, going back to the property card that we pulled, is 10 total rooms, 4 bedrooms. Okay. And it's about just under 2,000 square feet, 1961. This property I'm looking at is just over 2,100 square feet. So I would say that there's some comparisons there, right? It has the same total room count, it has the same bedroom count, same bathroom count, and it's within a couple hundred square feet of each other. So I would say that this is a comp or a property that I could use. And we want to be able to use these comps. When I'm pulling comps, I want to be able to pull what I would call a ceiling comp and a floor comp. So a ceiling comp would be a property that it's clear as day to the owner when you show it to them that their property is not going to sell beyond that number. And there's this kind of emotional type of conversation you need to have with them that could get them down, right? Oh man, my property's not going to sell for that much. Then we show them a property that what I would call a floor comp, their property's not going to sell below. This can kind of bring their spirits back up a little bit, right? All right, I'm in the game. I can sell more than this property. So I really want to put them in an area, in a box that's going to lead them to the number that I think they should already be at. Does that make sense with you guys? I really believe in having this be sort of this collective type of approach rather than me just going in there and dictating a price. And I also don't want me to go in there and them dictate a price. I want to be able to provide some value, but also steer that ship for them. Okay. So this is all softballs. We're throwing them softballs. All right. So ceiling comp, floor comp, this property right here is $625. Listed at $599. These properties can also tell a story. They can tell a story. You want to be able to use these as reasons why, like this property, sometimes people see the property sell at $625 and they may want to automatically go to that end number and say, let's list our property at 625. However, I would pose the question, would this property have sold at 625 if it was listed at 625? Sometimes people make that mistake and they list a property at what they see other comps sell for, and their property never gets up to that dollar amount. I would argue that this property sold for 625 is because they created enough interest at the 599 that drew them to get the 625. So agents, you know, oh, this property sold at 625. That's a new comp, 625. You're just going to the end of it, which could end you in not getting that number. So being able to tell that story and share that type of experience and show them the properties that actually sit on the market, that helps too. All right, so I need some more. I need some more comps to look at. That's one of them. I like that one so far because it has some of the same specs. But I'm going to go back into the edit my search, and I'm just going to go back another 12 months, see what that produces, and it didn't produce much. So I'm going to expand my radius and go from 1/4 of a mile to, I'm going to go to 1/3 of a mile and see if that changes anything. And it only produced me 2 more. So I'm just going to go to 1/2 of a mile, and that should produce me, I have 5. So now we're within that 5 to 10 that I was talking about. Again, if it's somewhere 5 to 10, we should have enough in there. So we have some others that expired. Again, expireds are great stories. Like, we're using these pieces and these properties as stories for an agent. And expired is a great story. We don't want to be that. We do not want to be an expired. Here's what they listed at. Here's how many days they were on the market. And here's what their property looked like. So we have another 2 unit that was 10 total rooms. This one was 5 bedrooms. So this one was on Leroy Street. Again, these are all within a 1/2 mile radius. This is what we want. And I'm looking at this property, about 2,400 square feet. So more square footage. This would be a great ceiling comp. It's at they listed it at 679. If you're thinking about listing at 679 and you're lower square footage within a 1/2 mile with 1 less bedroom, should you list at 679 altogether? No, it wouldn't be wise of you. Now we look at that other one that listed for $599 and sold for $625. Again, you see the difference there. So right out of the gate, without looking like even too much more into it, should we list this property with a 5 in front of it or a 6 in front of it? 5.99. Like that's what this property should be priced at. We don't want to really get into and there's 2, by the way, that expired at 6. Well, I'm sorry, one that expired at 679, and then they kind of jump quite a bit with more total rooms, more total bedrooms. So we can't really use those as comparables. There was one for 773 that expired, one that sold for 815 that had 5 total rooms. And this one, I imagine, was a decent looking property. A lot bigger on square footage. So yeah, I would use that expired listing, as I talked about, as a ceiling comp and tell that story. So you really need to have your information. So I pull the whole list, by the way. So I'll pull the list of properties. I usually do the 1-line views to pull the list, to print that off and say, hey, here's everything with the 1-line views. You guys know what I'm talking about with the 1-line views? If you're on MLS, when you pull a property search, it's going to list the properties. You can do like a photo summary. You could do a showing summary. I like the 1-lines because you can just fit a lot of information and clearly go down them. And then from there, I will actually print out the full listings of the ones that I want to tell the stories about. The full listings of the expired property, the full listings of the one that sold for $599. Okay, and that will be the meat and potatoes of my pricing presentation. Those are going to be on everything that's sold, expired, contingent. And I'm also going to do the same search on active properties because I want to see what is on the market. What's on the market is going to be our competition. If we list something right now, this is what we're going up against. This is what a buyer is going to see along with our property. They're going to see our property, and then they're going to see their property. So we need to keep that in mind too, because if properties are all listed at this, if properties are listed at low sixes and, we're at 599, good, we're in the game, we're good. We're offering arguably a better product at a better price. That's what we want to be at, as opposed to listing our property and everything's listed in the mid fives. Now we have to kind of regauge this thing. So we talked a little bit about the other day why people should list now. You run actives, you know what the market is right now. If there's no actives on the market, that's a great reason to list now. Let's put our property on the market and not have to deal with any competition. Because next month, we're going to have to look at the actives. A lot of people say, all right, let me wait. And I let them know, we can wait. We can wait on selling your property. However, we need to have this conversation again. It's not like I give you a number and then you call me in 3 months and we list at the number I gave you 3 months ago. That doesn't work. And we have to let people know that. Like, you cannot, like, people want a number and that's their number, and 5 years from now, that's still their number. Doesn't work that way. We have to reassess the market. Your neighbor lists their property, we have to take that in consideration, what they list it for. So we don't want to let other people dictate what we list our property for. Why don't we list right now? We can control the market. We could be the only person on the market right now in this area. How does that sound? Chris, sign right here. Let's get to work. Put me to work for you. Any questions on that process? Yeah, good question. So when it comes down to updates, I'm asking some of those questions on the phone. Have you updated the property in the last 5 years? Walk me through some of those updates that you've done. So I want to hear that on the phone. I also want to see what price they have in mind. So when we talk about pre-qualifying, those are some of the things before you go out to this is going to help you know if they're like reasonable or what type of objections you might face. Price is going to be a common objection. You might as well just know that you're going to deal with that pricing objection. However, finding out where they are ballpark wise, some people don't like to give up that number, but I can tell you from experience, everybody has that number. So you can ask someone, what would you, what are you looking to get for the property? Oh, Chris, I don't know. I really don't. I was hoping you could tell me. You're like, okay, and I learned from this. You go out there and you're like, I'm going to recommend $599. Well, Chris, I was thinking more like $650. Ha, gotcha. You said you never was thinking about a price. Everybody has a number, and they may not have it until you give a number. So I would just let them know, like, hey, what number would you like to sell the property for? If an offer came in, what number would you feel comfortable accepting? Maybe peel that onion. We talk about handling objections. Sometimes you have to ask the same question in a different way for someone to give you the answer. And you can let them know, I'm not going to hold you to it. I just want to get a ballpark idea. If someone came in with an offer, what number would you feel comfortable accepting? Ballpark or range, make them feel comfortable. But getting them to give you a number is going to help you significantly, especially as a newer agent. If you're a newer agent and have no idea where to price property, it's going to help at least give you some sort of starting point. That's why I like working expireds. Truth be told, when I was a brand new agent, I had no idea how to price property, and at least expireds gave me something to work off of. I knew that the property didn't sell at that price. Let me go in as an agent and just get them to reduce the price, and I would have a better chance of selling the property. So that was why I loved expireds. But so upgrades, though, sometimes they don't matter. I know the sellers don't want to hear that. I'm not necessarily telling them that, but unless they have a brand new kitchen that they've updated in the last 5 years, brand new bathrooms, yeah, there's some value there. However, most of the time, owners are going to be telling you about upgrades that really don't matter. The ugly colors they chose, I don't know, like a bunch of just random stuff. And you're like, okay, great. All right. I'm taking all this information down. But then there's also like what a buyer would pay for a property. So updated bathrooms, updated kitchens, updated, you know, does it have a garage? Does it not have a garage? You know, these are things that we have to, you know, those things could matter. How much are they going to matter is the question. You know, is an updated bathroom or kitchen worth an extra $100,000 on the price? Probably not, right? So those are the things that we look at, and we do take them into consideration. However, we just want to be reasonable. So maybe one of those high ceiling comp properties is one that's like all the bells and whistles are done on it. And do theirs stack up against that? And if it does, it does. But if it doesn't, they can clearly see like, this is what an updated property should look like. Like, this is what it should look like. And we just use that. So sometimes with the floor comp and the ceiling comp, we're doing just that. The ceiling comp has all updates. The floor comp may not have a garage, and you do have a garage, Nancy. So that's a plus, that's a bonus. We're happy about that. So as much as you're taking away from them, you're also adding that with the floor comp versus their property. So that's what some of those floor comps will show, is things that their property has that the floor comp doesn't. It's all me walking them through the logic behind why their property needs to be listed at this number versus a number that they thought of. And by the way, if they thought of a number, great. Like if you're thinking your property should be listed at 550, awesome. You know, how did you come to that? And I'll shut up and I'll listen. And I'm really curious on how they came up with that 550 number or 650 if I want to list it at 599. And I want to hear what they have to say. Well, you know, back in 2015, I saw that my property was worth that when I got a letter in the mail or something. You know, who knows? They might have some, and sometimes them hearing them say some stuff will just be like, am I really saying this? Like, I kind of sound crazy right now, right? So let them kind of deal with their own objections sometimes. You don't always have to like battle and that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to go into a listing appointment, especially with price, because people want to protect their price. I get it. I have full empathy for anyone who wants to make as much money as possible. I understand that. I'm not going in there looking to battle them on price. I want to help them understand. And I think that mentality should be yours when you're going into a listing appointment. It's like, look, let's look at this market together. I'm going to show you how appraisers look at property. And I like to reference appraisers. I want to put the blame on them. I want to put the blame on the market. I want to put the blame on everything else besides me or you. So if we can do that, and it is a little bit of a, you know, song and dance. We have to get used to how we're delivering information, specifically with price. So I would practice how you deliver this, like literally sit down and have this conversation with another real estate agent to practice this role-playing situation. That way, when you go into it, you can feel more comfortable. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You learned something, and if you have any questions, just shoot them in the comment section below. I do check them on a regular basis, and watch some other videos on this channel. If you're looking to build your real estate business and you are looking for good quality content, hopefully you enjoy this and you'll enjoy my other videos as well. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.